Welcome to Heartspeak Podcast, episode 130, Healing Wounded Hearts. Well, hello there, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're doing well. Another busy week, maybe not so much outwardly, but a lot going on inside us all. I sense people's frustration, their sense of, tell me when this is going to be over. Tell me when I'm going to be free to do what I enjoyed doing 2 years ago. Can anybody imagine that 2 years ago we'd be waiting to meet with our families, or waiting to travel, or waiting for the permission to do what we naturally took for granted? Whether we could go into a restaurant without worrying about whether we had more people in it than we needed, or we could go to a pub and just enjoy hugging friends, talking with people. Such a strange sensation to feel that someone else is going to give us permission to do these things. And I was interested in an article that I was reading that probably about 3,000 or 4,000 years ago was really the beginning of the fact that there were leaders, someone telling us what to do. And before that, it was very much a community run by the people, by the populace. Yes, there were people who perhaps were leaders, but they did not consider themselves in a higher place of authority. They just were better at making decisions, and they took those decisions as their job, while someone else may take a different decision or a different job. And I was interested that it was only relatively recently that we created leaders to tell us what to do. And you might say, well, nobody tells me what to do. But I look at the news and it's full of what we call leaders telling us when we can do things and what we can do. And we've given authority away. We've given authority away to people believing that that was the best way to go. And this may well have been connected to both the age of Aries and now the age of Pisces, where we would expect someone else to not only take leadership, but also take the blame when things went wrong. Maybe that's what we've created, a world of blame. Don't blame me, I'm not guilty about this. And so what we're looking at today is this idea of the wounded heart doesn't just come from someone outside us hurting us, but how we have perhaps had expectations and become hurt by a relationship. And the reason I decided to talk about this was we have a full moon coming up in 3 days' time on March the 28th. And that full moon is in Libra. And Libra is a sign that wants harmony, wants fairness, wants people to be reasonable, wants peace. And I think many of us want that in our life. And yet as a full moon shines the light on things that are hidden in the darkness, where we don't feel that we're being treated with harmony and peace and reasonableness and fairness. And the challenge for dear old Libra, it sits opposite, of course, the sun in Aries. And Aries is about me. It's about finding myself, being my own authority. And Libra is, no, think of others before you think of yourself. So the sun is in Aries, the moon, that's why it's a full moon, is in Libra. And right next to dear old sun in Aries is Chiron, the wounded healer. And it's sitting between the sun and Venus. And Venus is what we call conjunct the sun, and Chiron is conjunct the sun. And so this is very much saying, where am I as an individual wounded in my own self-exploration, my own ability to express myself? And what it comes across as is, where have I been wounded by others, Libra? But in truth, where have I allowed myself to be wounded? Or where do I need to look to healing myself, loving myself, honoring myself, respecting myself, so I can have better relationships with other people and not always be expecting someone else to provide my satisfaction, my love, someone loving me. It starts with me. So if I go back to Libra, Libra, as I say, looks for the harmony and the peace and the reasonableness. But in my experience as an astrologer, I found that if you have Libra in your chart, and it may not just be your sun sign, it may be your moon sign, it may be where your Mars is or your Saturn, there's a larger tendency to always think, okay, this is what I want to do, but hey, how's that for everybody else? How do you all feel if I actually take care of myself, Aries? So Libra is very much about looking at the people around you. So if I'm speaking to someone who has a Libran sun and I say, how are you feeling? Immediately I'll hear how everybody else is feeling. And I'll say, well, what do you want to do for yourself? And the Libran will say to me, well, this is what I want. But, Johnny, my son, is just going to high school and he needs this. And Johnny's had a difficult life. And it's probably because his father had a difficult life and he went through this and this and this in his life. And it was because and it's like, wow, all of a sudden I know all about your family and I know nothing about you. And so Libra in its quality is, we might say, really good at being kind and considerate to others. But maybe this is a time, this full moon, to say, and what about me? What does it mean to be in a reciprocal relationship, an equally reciprocal relationship where both our needs are met? And it's not about a 50-50 meeting, but almost a 100-100 meeting. I will turn up. The fullness of who I am will turn up. I ask you to turn up as well, fully. Then we know we are in a balanced relationship. Not a relationship based on my needs, your needs, the sort of what I call tent effect, where we're both, my need to be needed is met by your need to have me need you. That's never going to be a good relationship. It's based on what we call an interdependent relationship, where both of us are fully in our own power and turning up fully in our relationships. So this full moon will be bringing to the surface our woundedness. And I've been hearing that in people around me and myself. Where are there stories that I have from my past where I felt unfairly treated? These words about fairness, harmony, balance. Where did I feel not respected? And that's certainly come up for me this week. And yes, I could feel hurt by the other person. But what I really saw is, where did I not respect myself? Where did I consider someone else's needs more important than my needs? Where did I not voice my needs? And so as we look at this Libra full moon, fortunately, I should say, it is trine to the Mars in Gemini. Gemini, the ability to communicate. Mars having a passion to communicate, wanting to communicate. And it's also trine Saturn in Aquarius. And Saturn in Aquarius is, let me see the bigger picture. So when we are working with, what do I need to speak about? What do I need to communicate in my relationships that will bring harmony, not from a place of let's all just keep the peace, but a place of true appreciation of someone else, a true appreciation of ourselves. So that sense of harmony cannot be created by just staying quiet or by trying to stay in the middle of what we call a teeter-totter here in this country. We call it, I can't even remember what we call it in other countries, but the fact, a seesaw, what we want is it's no good standing in the middle and just hoping that you're going to get balance. Balance comes by extending ourselves, by taking the risk, by saying, I've kept quiet, but now I need to say this in order to bring balance. That makes sense? So I feel that this weekend, and maybe even the next 2 weeks after this, as we go towards the next new moon, is going to be a time where things need to be said. But as I've spoken about before, this isn't just about speaking out. This is about listening. And it's listening to ourselves as much as it is to others. Sometimes it's helpful to do the co-counseling type of listening where we say, I'm going to talk for 3 minutes. I need you to listen, not say anything. And then you can have 3 minutes and talk. But what has to happen is that it's not a lot of talk about details. Well, this is what, then I need to, then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, or even about the drama. It's about, what do you need to let me know about you that will help me to really find an understanding of you, and that we can create a balanced relationship. Now, what I've been listening to as I've listened to individuals is that sometimes we have all the story, but we're not taking ownership of the wound. I felt wounded when you, boom. I felt hurt when, boom. Because when we are willing to share that, it is not then the case that the other person can heal that wound. Because what we're really saying, I had an expectation that this would happen in this relationship, solar plexus. And when you did not meet my expectation, I felt wounded. I was disappointed. I felt hurt. So what I am suggesting is that in this time, it is a time to speak about our wounds, but it's also a time to acknowledge our expectations. This is how I expected things to go. Now I'm seeing the truth of the situation, that I was stressing my expectations and not necessarily appreciating either your ability to meet those expectations or anybody's ability to meet them. In this Aries energy of wanting to get things to happen the way you want them to happen has to calm down. The wounding often occurs because, if I may say, we don't think outside our own limited space. We want something to happen, therefore the other person must meet that expectation. When we actually slow down and say, what is it that I really want someone to hear about me? Or what do I want to take into this relationship that's important for me to hear, to be seen, I should say, then we start to heal our heart. Healing our heart is not by someone else meeting the need that we want them to meet. Healing our heart comes from by forgiving ourselves and by letting go of our expectations. These expectations that cause the fear, the anxiety, the anger that's happening at this moment. Remember, fear is false expectations of an altered reality. So as I say this, it's not to say let go of what you would like to happen. But when you are putting that thought out into the world, let go of your expectation of how it will happen. Do it to the best of your ability, be in the relationship to the best of your ability, but let go of what you expect the result to be. Because that's what causes the wounding. In my life, I've heard so many people say, I expected my mother to love me. I'm still waiting for my mother to love me, or my father, or my brother, or my sister. That's fine. You can do that to the rest of your life. But the truth of science is, a true scientist does not keep repeating something expecting a different result. If you keep seeing the same result, then something is wrong with the way in which you are setting the intention and creating the environment, because what's happening, the same thing is happening over and over again. And as I've spoken about, we are the creators of our own reality. If you don't like the reality that's you're repeating, then change your intention. Make a different choice. Make a different choice of how you turn up in the world, what you are expecting from others. So the best way we can have a relationship is to expect nothing. It doesn't mean that we don't bring the very best of who we are and the way we wish to relate, but how someone responds to that is not up to us. But if we don't like the response, then we have a choice to change the energy or the intention we're putting out into a relationship. I know this is very deep situations that we're talking about, very old situations. Some of you may be going back through not just your own life, but your ancestors' life and say, oh, there it happened again and again and again. People kept letting us down. You're never going to change the past by trying to do the same thing in the future. The only thing we can ever change is how we wish to be seen in the world. And that may not feel fair. You might be saying fair, here again, Libra. You might say, that's not fair. I'm doing the very best I am, and people are like this. But I can reassure you that whatever your private and personal experience of relationships are, they are not the same to everybody in the world. And they're certainly not the same, even if you had the same circumstances. Maybe you were adopted, maybe your parents divorced, maybe you divorced, maybe something happened to you, but not the event may be the same, but the outcome is different. And the sad part is that we end up saying, it must be somebody else's fault that's caused me to have these types of relationships. Or if I just try to understand where they're coming from, or if I was kinder to them, then maybe it would be different. No, it's nothing to do with them. It's to do with how we feel about ourselves. So in healing our heart, it's so important to meet that part of us that is wounded, that part of us that's been betrayed, that part of us that's felt abandoned. And to love it to the level not of fixing the problem, but just by acknowledging it's there. You may say that's not enough, and I'm saying by owning and feeling our own feelings and not blaming them on others, we are surrounded by the love that we need at this time to heal that wounded heart. If we don't do this, we take that wounded heart into every new relationship, whatever type of relationship, and we find that we keep repeating the same patterns. Nobody can wound our heart. Only we can allow it to be wounded. And with that, let's go into a short meditation. If you would, and if you're in a safe place, to just close your eyes. And take those short breaths in and long out breaths, coming down into your body, which allows us to have a relationship with our body. It's saying, come home to me, take care of me, our very first relationship. And now through your heart chakra, see yourself by a well. A well is a wonderful place of pure spring water coming to the surface, cleansing, clearing, dissolving old energies. Where's your well? Look around you. And smell the air. Listen to the sounds. And then feel the earth beneath your feet, or the wind or the sun on your body. And draw some water up from the well, this nectar of life. See it contained in a cup or a bowl, drinking some of that water for yourself. Feel the water clear your energy, clear any separation, which is really what wounds are, bringing us back in tune with ourselves, in love with ourselves. And now hold that cup out, and hold the cup of connection and love to a part of you that has been wounded, that carries the wound of the heart. Maybe it's a part of you that was a child, a teenager, an adult. You know the story of that wound. You don't need to hear it. But let that part of you come close. Give it a hug. Say, I see you. I feel your wound. I know what you've gone through. And offer them the water that cleanses away the expectations, the pain, and allows this wonderful part of you to be embraced in love, to feel connected. Hold that part tight. And know that in that loving is the forgiveness. In that loving is the fact that you are reconnected to the beauty of who you are. And now we offer the cup, the clear water, to an ancestor, someone who also has a wound to their heart. They may not be someone that you even can name, but you're saying, come, drink from this cup. It's time to heal the wounds of the past. Because in healing the past, we release the past. We no longer hold the story in the past. Come and drink from this water. Unite with me now. Let's clear the old energies so we may grow together, evolve together. And we offer the cup to the dreams of the future. the expectations of what could be, may be. But those expectations can be filled with longing and woundedness. Imagine offering the cup to your future self. Drink of this water, come into the now. Release our hold on patterns and behaviors that we believe will bring us peace. Peace comes from living in the now. Bring your past and your future into your body, into your soul, into your heart. And now we offer the cup to just one more, what we call our higher self, a part of us that sees what we're going through, a part of us that knows the journey. And just for a moment, hear the words of your higher self. How do I deepen my relationship with myself and have a more enriching relationship with others? Hear the words now. And as you listen, you feel how the energy of relationship becomes stronger, more honest, more fruitful, more fun. And that relationship is not only with other humans, but with the nature kingdoms, with planet Earth, with the angels, the archangels, the guides. When we stand in our truth, in our moment, in our nowness, there are so many rich relationships waiting for us to join them. And with that in mind, just gently start to bring your awareness back into the room where you are. And then to open your eyes and remember the best relationship you can have at the moment is the one that you are true to yourself, respecting, honoring, and loving all that you are. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the HeartSpeak podcast with Dr. Christine Page. Please check out all HeartSpeak episodes in the podcast archive section on www.christinepage.com. HeartSpeak is also available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, and now playing on iHeart Radio. You can also watch the archive podcasts on YouTube. Connect with Christine on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, including her newest Facebook group, The Great Mother Calling. Do share with family, friends, colleagues. Join us next time for another edition of HeartSpeak.